Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the channel. Hope you're all well. Hope you're having a lovely day. I'm going to be doing a Xin Zhao jungle guide, who is really good right now. I'll tell you what else is really good. The link to G2A in my description. Thanks G2A for still paying me. So yeah, this is my Xin Zhao build. It is Divine Sundra, Black Cleaver, Blade of the Ruined King, Sterex Gauge, and a Guardian Angel with a Proto Belt enchant to engage with. I like the Proto Belt enchant, but you could also go Stoveplane enchant if you are worried about dying or you just want to be a bit more tanky. But I just really like the Proto Belt enchant because it's a fantastic way to kind of like get a secondary engage or get in range of like dashing in onto someone, you know. In terms of runes, I like Conqueror, Brutal in the jungle, Conditioning, and Pathfinder. All great runes. You guys should go and test this out, but I'm going to go through a really awesome game where I went like 17-2 or something on Xin Zhao Jungle. Let me know how you what you think and if you think it's a good game, and I will see you soon. All right, guys. So this is the game. We're going to be mostly watching my perspective here. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so we can get more of a read of what's going on. I've also turned off Fog of War for the enemy team on the spectator client because I want this to be as if we're watching from my perspective. So you're going to learn what I was doing based on the information that I had. Now, always I go red buff into Razorbeaks most of the time. There are obviously two options when you're jungling. Either you're going to want to do a full red side clear and go into the bottom river scuttler, which is sometimes nice if you want to try and contest the enemy, especially if you've got a really strong bot lane. I think what you have to be aware of is that you really want to play towards the Scuttle Crab where you know that you're going to have the priority in the lanes that surround it. So mid lane obviously can be a bit hit or miss, and I think with an Aurelion you're never going to have priority versus him really. But like top lane Renekton into Olaf, that's a bit of a volatile matchup. If I can influence it, then I'm going to have a secure on the top side scuttle. But it's also important to know where the enemy jungle is, and for the most people do red buff into blue buff into their opposite Scuttle Crab, because that's what I'm doing. Red buff into blue buff into my opposite Scuttle Crab. Now you can see that there was a crazy fight going on with the Renekton and the Olaf, and I was like hovering to the sidelines just to see if I could influence it. It means that I was a little bit slow on getting to my blue buff, but that's not too much of a problem because I'm just going to be able to get level 3 anyway, and I'm going to clear up this River Scuttler with relative ease also. So now, as you can see, like you can see on the map, I'm looking at potentially ganking the Aurelion Soul because he's overextended ever so slightly, but he sees me coming, probably because he has a ward, and ends up backing off. So I decided to go for my blue buff in this scenario. Now, the good thing about this, and you're going to see me ward just here in a minute because or just like over the wall in a minute, because I'm just going to be a little bit concerned about, how do I clear this? Going to be a little bit concerned about potentially getting it stolen away from me by a Pantheon spear or something like that, but Pantheon didn't turn up, and so it's not a problem. So you're noticing that I'm actually sticking around on the top side of the map. Why is that? Well, the reason I'm sticking around on the top side of the map is because Olaf is still kind of overextending, doesn't have flash, isn't really paying attention to, you know, potentially being involved in a fight, and you can see here that himself and Renekton just get locked into another engage. Now, I was going to be there to support, and I think if this had gone slightly worse, I definitely would have been there. But nonetheless, it's not a problem. What I do with the Renekton is I push the wave up to the tower. So I know that some people don't like that in lane, but I push the wave up to the tower for a number of reasons. What I do that specifically is to sort of deny Olaf as many minions as possible. I see that obviously the Pantheon's there, he's flashed over the wall, and so the Renekton comes over the wall with me. We think that we can go for the Aurelion. I should have backed off here because Aurelion has ult. Here comes Olaf. He's going to start AoE true damaging us. There's a great stun from the Aurelion, and then Kennen just kind of trolls. Like, popped his ultimate way too late, and then Olaf ends up getting a triple kill. So, not the best situation, if I'm honest with you. But not unrecoverable. It was just a little bit of an overextension by me on the Aurelion. I could have just backed off after killing the Pantheon. We would have been fine. But it was just a lesson learned. You know, the spawn timers of people are still very low in the early game. So Olaf was very easily able to return to the fight. And Kennen wasn't rotating. And that's not all Kennen's fault. Me and Renekton probably should have been aware, specifically me being aware that you know, Kennen was rotating very slowly in that circumstance. So obviously the objectives are coming up next. And it's kind of about like what we want to do. I can see that the bot lane are engaged in, or like close to engaging in, what is going to be like a pretty crazy fight. You can see Lulu way overstepping, and that is like cause for Ashe to go in and just get the kill onto Lulu. So obviously you can see here, I just jump in, I get onto the Ashe because the Karma manages to escape. Unfortunately, really awkwardly, she just about gets away from my W, and then essentially gets away with Pantheon having ulted in. That was a bit of an awkward moment, but I'm going to keep myself in the area, mostly because I think that I'm strong enough with the priority that we have with the Kennen, and the Karma just forgot that, you know, essentially Xin Zhao can jump to a ridiculous level. He then joins me, so that's a nice follow-up from the Kennen, basically because he kind of trolled me at the top side of the map, but that was also kind of my fault. But he gave me really good support on this dragon, and immediately killing the jungler and the support with my Renekton over here, just like drawing these guys over to the top side of the map. This is like good cause for us to go and get a free dragon in this circumstance, and that's essentially what we do. The Ashe kind of massively overextends here. We get a really nice hit onto her, and then we get the knock up on the Karma, who's already burnt Flash, and we get a killing spree. And what's really nice is that we can now take away some of the enemy blue side jungle, which is going to deny them some important buffs, and of course, you know, just get some more gold in our back pockets. So we're going to get the River Scuttler here, which is just a nice little injection of gold. Aurelion chooses not to engage any further, but I think we now have enough for our Divine Sunderer, which is again a really nice boon. It's a great item spike for the Xin Zhao, and I'm going to show you in a minute, like, you can really start to snowball from this point. Like, I'm not exactly super fed. I'm 3-1 on 2. It's like a good score, but not like super fed. But with the Divine Sunderer, we're in a really good spot. You can see that Lulu kind of overextends here, but I get behind the Pantheon, I use my ultimate, and then just stab him at the end for a nice easy kill. This Divine Sunderer spike for Xin Zhao is super strong. So I'm looking at the top side of the map. My Olaf, or my Renekton's getting into a little bit of a fight with the Olaf, who has burnt his Flash. So just keeping my eyes on the map. I'm coming up towards the Olaf, catch him, mark him, and he eventually drops to me as well. So again, just good map presence to be aware, and using that great pick, I'm now going to go straight for this topside turret for the first turret of the game. So you can see at all times I'm doing something. I'm not just ganking and walking away. I'm thinking about what else we can do. Now, Aurelion Sol, I have no idea what he thought he was going to achieve here. He was marked as well across the wall, and we end up killing him with my W, which has now set me at 6-1 and 2, I believe. And now this is kind of super fed territory, but you know, we had a bad start to the game. It's not like I just turbo rolled this from the level, you know, like level 3. We had a really shit start to the game, and so, you know, essentially I've managed to find my way back in off the back, a gank in the bot lane, which then translated it into a dragon take, punishing an overextension from the enemy bot lane again, punishing an overextension from the Pantheon in the mid lane, punishing an overextension from the Olaf in the top lane, and now we've just, you know, got a ridiculous amount of gold in our back pockets. We're almost at a Black Cleaver. We can see an absolute cluster going on down here on the bottom side of the map, which is basically going to cause me to flash in. And I know that, you know, Karma's not going to be an option for me here, so I use my ultimate, or actually gets polymorphed, which is great. I was going to use my ultimate or just a knock up to hope that I kill him, but we end up getting the Pantheon down as well, who tried to ult out. So I knew that the Karma was going to go down regardless. And again, look at this, converting into another tower. Really important that you do this. Like, if you have the opportunity to, take those big objectives that are going to net you the gold. And in this case, this is what I did. I just took the big objective that was going to net me the gold. And of course, now going over towards the River Scuttler, I'm not going to go for the enemy blue buff. Couple of reasons. Again, we're really talking about respawn timers now, and with Aurelion Sol who can get across the map, and with the fact that we don't have much support, it would have been a bit of an awkward play to go for the blue buff. So I decided that it's probably better not to go for the blue buff in this circumstance and actually get back to farming the jungle a little bit. So you can see the Olaf on the top side of the map here. This is, of course, going to lend me to move away from the red side jungle and see what I can do in terms of supporting on this top side of the map. You can see that these guys are kind of messing around. I'm already on my way over to try and help the Renekton out as well. You can see the Pantheon backs immediately. We get the hit onto the Olaf, and we end up taking him down. Also means that this Rift Herald doesn't get anything done. I honestly have no idea what Aurelion Sol does in any of these fights. He just walks in by himself and ends up dying. But again, just punishing the teams where we can. And that now sets us up to be able to back and go for the next dragon of the game. So I just want to, reiterate, we're really keeping our eyes on the map at all times here. Like, we're just thinking about, where can we influence on the map based on how the enemy is reacting. Now, I'm essentially looking at the mini-map almost all the time when I'm playing. Like, just keeping an eye, like, oh, Olaf's overextending, gonna try and head up there. Oh, Pantheon is like randomly in our blue side jungle, let's make sure we're there. One thing that I think is really important is don't cave to your AD carry when they are 1 and 3 to take your red buff. if you are doing really well as a jungler, keep taking that red buff, because you're going to have more impact with it than your AD carry ever will. So I've got my proto belt now, which is going to allow me to make some engages where I need to, but I'm going to just try and punish this overextension from Olaf first, which you can see happens there. He runs it onto the tower and essentially tries to sort of go all in. I've got my ultimate available, but I'm not going to use it while the Misfortune's channeling hers. However, I am going to use it now just to be able to knock them away ever so slightly from taking out the Renekton. And you can see here, I almost dropped from the Ashe because I wasn't quite sure if she was going to die to the red buff or not. However, I'm going to recoup, move my way around, and this is going to show you the power of Xin Zhao on this 2-item spike. It's just really strong. If you can make that engage happen, and I dodged the Aurelion Sol ultimate with my dash, if you can make that engage happen, it's really, really nice. Get stunned up here again, reapply, get back on to the Aurelion Sol. I'm going to bait the Karma in. She thinks that she's going to be able to take me down. Watch this. Jump in, flash, and she ends up going down to the cannon. So I was just essentially just trying to find some space here to sort of, you know, like just get in and get out. That's what Xin Zhao's really good at. He's good at getting in and getting out of fights. So there's low HP bars all over this dragon. I'm going to try and just sort of at least bait this Olaf in, or try and use the River Scuttler. I'm going to use my ultimate just to be able to get the kill. And I'm going to back off here because I want to make sure that I actually pick up some items in time for this next dragon. And specifically, I'm going to go for Blade of the Ruined King, which I'm able to buy outright from a longsword after all of the kills that I've ended up getting. So we're like super strong now. You can see that my team is kind of like toying, like toing and froing around them in the blue side jungle. Got to be a little careful here. I think, you know, when you are really fed like 11 and 6, I am the majority of my team's gold. So you kind of need to play around the strongest member on your team. I know that my Renekton is strong, and that's about it. So he's like, me and Renekton are like super strong in this scenario. So what I did here, by the way, is I locked on to the dragon to ensure that my smite would land. And then I just waited for my time. Like, I had an 860 smite, I think, and I think I smited at about a 700, so that's pretty decent. This is where the Proto Belt comes in useful, by the way, straight onto the Ashe with the Proto Belt, but she uses the ultimate, and I get stunned and ulted by Karma. So there isn't much more that I can do in this scenario, although I do jump in with the hopes of maybe trying to burst someone out, but it doesn't quite happen. We have to end up backing off here because Aurelion Sol coming in and the rest of the team coming in is a little bit too much for us to handle. And so we're going to end up backing off and just pick up a couple of little bits here and there. Although I say that, I think my Renekton went all in. Somehow manages to escape, which is great. And I'm then on the back line, doing what Xin Zhao does best. Just jumping onto the back line, taking out people where you can. Here comes the Pantheon. I'm getting loads of healing, by the way, from my first ability, which is pretty crazy. And then we kill the Pantheon for a double kill. Just look how strong Xin Zhao is. And I actually really like Blade of the Ruined King on him as well, because it just essentially gives you that extra little bit of physical vamp. At this point, when you're 14 and 6, or 14, 1 and 6, you can basically do whatever the hell you like. But, you know, I'll keep talking about it as if I was making, like, sensible game decisions and not trying to, like, 1v9 the backline. So I'm going to drink, like, from a giant bottle of apple juice. These things are banger, by the way. Alright, so I haven't really been able to farm my jungle that much this game. It's been a little awkward to do so. But, you know, any chance that I get, just take the big buffs and then try and get back on the map again. Like you can see at the top side of the map here, Kennen, a little bit isolated by himself. I thought that I could maybe get into the Olaf, but that shows you how strong Olaf is, by the way. Let's have a look at the score. Olaf is, well, he's 7 and 6, so he has got some items. He's built like an, I don't know what he's built. He's built Triforce and he's built Blade of the Ruined King, which sounds like a terrible build for Olaf, but that's what he did. He just like one-shot me as well. So I thought I was going to go help ganking out, but Olaf was there. And this is actually pretty awkward now because they've killed 2 of us and they're relatively healthy across the board. So they could very easily turn and burn for Baron here if they wanted to. Luckily, the Renekton kind of knew that there wasn't really any point in rotating out of lane. And in this circumstance, has just gone for the second tier turret. He gets Ashe arrowed from across the map, but should be able to secure the second tier turret for you know, very little pain. And in the meantime, the enemy team decides to stay and overextend on the bottom side of the map, and we just end up getting another double kill because for some reason they just thought they were going to try and take an inhibitor tower when 3 of their members had gone up to kill a Renekton, which means they don't get Baron. I mean, they could have very easily regrouped and forced Baron potentially, which might have got them back into the game. And you could actually see the gold. There was only about 4,000 gold difference between the 2 teams. You know, the Olaf has got a lot of gold. The Aurelion Sol has got a lot of gold. The Karma support has got more gold than their AD carry. And you look at my team, the only people that are fed are me, Renekton, and Kennen. My bot lane are really not doing very well. I mean, the Lulu is helping out, but she's not exactly got a lot of gold. My misfortune is useless, honestly, rather useless. So in this game, like, it's not like the entire team was stomping. My MF was having a really tough time on the bottom side of the map. But we're really strong. We've gone for Sterax as a 4th item. Our final item will, of course, be that GA. This is just to give me, like, a really good amplification to my base damage, and also just to sort of make me a little tankier in team fights with that Sterax shield. So we've got to be a little careful. Like I said, it's not like we're turbo stomping this game. We're just looking for an opportunity to go into a fight here. And you can see that you'll notice in a minute, Olaf will appear on the bottom side of the map. And then we're just like, okay, let's go in on the Olaf. Because I have no idea what Olaf was trying to achieve here. He walks into the wall a few times and flashes away. But Pantheon decides to Rambo ult in. I ult him into my teams. He dies really quickly. Actually, a really nicely placed Misfortune ultimate allows me to get a load of damage off. And at this point, it's just I'm gonna proto belt and then I'm gonna dash. Oh, I actually get Ash arrowed, but then we're able to follow up with the dash. Now this was a really good call. I actually told my Renekton to push top. I can essentially, with these items, I can basically solo Baron. So what you're gonna see here is that my bot lane, we're doing the dragon. Renekton is pushing top, and with these items, I knew that I'd be able to solo Baron to an extent, or at least, you know, do Baron well enough so that by the time my team join me, I'm still really healthy. So Renekton's going to be able to take the top lane tower because I was basically pinging him to go and take the top lane tower, and I was able to take the Baron with the rest of my team basically by myself and almost took no damage. And that's only because I'm so far ahead of the competition right now. So now about ending the game. So we have Baron. We have only got 2 lanes that we have to worry about. At this point, it's basically going back and setting up to try and win the game. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go and take one camp. I'm going to take this camp here, obviously. And then I'm going to go back and get my GA, because that gives me my full build. And it also means the next fight, even if I'm focused or somehow taken down, I can come back into the fight and actually win. So I'm going to back here very quickly, pick up GA. It's a really nice item spike, gives me a complete build. If you look at my build compared to everyone else, the closest person is Renekton, who hasn't even finished their boots. My God, Renekton went wit's end and didn't finish their boots. But regardless, we're like massively ahead of the competition. So we have another engage in mid here. I flash in, and at this point, like, we're just doing like crazy damage. We get a stun onto the Karma, and we're just like, I think, too difficult to deal with at this point. We knock the Ashe back, so there's definitely no way that she can escape or flash. Renekton's been pushing in the side lane the entire time, and with Wit's End and Blade of the Ruined Kings kind of doing some nasty work. And then here as well, we're then able to push in onto the Nexus. And of course, Pantheon, not much you can do about it at this point, and that is GG. That's how I won the game with Xin Zhao Jungle, and it's super strong in my opinion right now. Really, really strong. You should go and try it, and if you liked it, subscribe and let me know how you feel.